the show today, we check out Ashok Leyland's latest truck for the defense sector. Bert gets us a preview of the latest technologies for the automotive world from Bosch. And we answer all your queries on Auto Selector. Hi, welcome to Overdrive. You're watching the show with me, Sohini Dutt. Now, to commemorate the occasion of celebrating India's 70 years of independence, we've decided to review a very interesting vehicle. Now, the defense sector, of course, is made up of some very sharp customers. After all, we are talking about people protecting our boundaries from external threats. Now, servicing our frontline is a very important task, and of course, it is big business. So some indigenous manufacturers work very hard to secure these contracts and provide us with products that are built to deal with extreme conditions. Now, Ashok Leyland, of course, is one of the manufacturers who has a storied association with this sector, and this time around they have a new product which is big, capable and quite menacing.
It's been 2 years since the BJP came into power, running on the back of a mandate, a project called the Make in India project. Here is what we make in India.
The Ashok Leyland F80 6x6 isn't about beauty as much as it is about functionality, but it looks good. It appears menacing and it could easily find a role alongside the Expendables as a guns-blazing, loud-talking, testosterone-loaded action hero. The fat 6x6's utility is, however, more fact than fiction. It has to traverse difficult terrain and protect its occupants both in the driver's cabin and in the crew cabin behind. So everything about this vehicle screams functionality. The interiors are Spartan and yet a step above the Stallion. Don't go by appearances, it's all military grade. It's the simple creature comforts, conveniences that Ashok Leyland dials in that makes taming this beast a simpler task.
Now the army gets some very fancy accessories onto their vehicles, things that I wish were on our cars too, but anyway, here's what's very special about the fat 6x6. Now what makes the fat 6x6 unique compared to everything else that bid for this tender was that this is a 100% indigenous vehicle. So that engine, most essentially, the Neptune engine that powers this truck, that is made right here in Ashok Leyland's facilities. It is made by Ashok Leyland. It's an engine that you've seen on the other range of trucks that they've got in the commercial space as well. It's an 8-liter diesel engine, turbocharged of course, makes about 600 horsepower and 1400 Newton meters of torque. That's an insane amount of torque for something like this. But like the name suggests, this is a tractor. Its intended job is to tow a big gun. That means you can tow up to about 18 tons. This itself weighs about 11 tons. So it's a combination of 29 tons that the fat 6x6 can carry along. You know, I wish I could tell you that the ride quality is something like what Mercedes-Benz has to offer. But this thing will probably crush a Mercedes-Benz. The tricky part is I've never driven an 8-speed gearbox, an 8-speed manual transmission. It's the first time getting my hands on an 8-speed transmission. And let me tell you, in a truck, it's not the easiest thing to figure out which gear you are in. Right now, I think I'm in 4th. Means I've got 4 more to go. Second part, the second crucial element that sealed the bid for them is the fact that this vehicle the tires can be inflated and deflated on the move. And that's a huge advantage given the terrain that this vehicle will operate in. Both the driver's cabin and the cabin at the rear for the RT soldiers who man the gun, both of these cabins are air conditioned and heated. Of course, air conditioning very important if this vehicle is being used in Rajasthan, in those deserts out there near the border with Pakistan. And heating, of course, when it goes up to Ladakh or the northeast in the mountains. especially in the winter months, very, very essential. Ashok Leyland is increasing its, is expanding its horizons and getting into several other niche territories in the defense sector. So the FAT 6x6 is just one of them. There is an 8x8 vehicle that's coming up in the future. But essentially, the bigger business will come in from the smaller mobility vehicles. These are armored vehicles. Now you've seen one of them, the mine protected vehicle on our show previously from another manufacturer, but Ashok Leyland is getting into this sector as well. And I think that will be very interesting to see some of their mine protected solutions. Should be pretty interesting.
Well, kudos to Ashok Leyland for building this fat 6x6 truck. For now though, it's time for us to take our first break here on the show. But coming up on the other side, some interesting technologies from Bosch. Welcome back, you're watching Overdrive. Now, Bosch has been sitting at the cutting edge of technology for a while now, providing global auto manufacturers with various path-breaking technologies. But the stakes of the games have completely changed right now, and there is driverless mobility, there is digitization, and of course, connected cars. So we sent Bert to Germany to find out just what's cooking in the BOSCH Mobility experience.
Welcome to the BOSCH Mobility experience. I've come to Boxberg in Germany, where Bosch is showcasing all of its technology advancements that will make a better, safer future for all of those commuters who use the roads, public roads, for commuting to work, for vacation, or just to get to somewhere. And these solutions, well, they're so far ahead of its time. It's absolutely fascinating to see what's happening in terms of technology development. I'm here right now at the Connected Cars Pavilion, and right behind me is one of those examples that showcases brilliantly, and I've already seen this, but it's just absolutely brilliant to see how connected cars will connect both your home and your lifestyle to one particular unit. Let me take you through this whole thing. It's a bit exhaustive, but I think you will be absolutely fascinated. This is Jetsons. Remember that family? Well, this is it happening right here in 2017, getting ready for the next decade. Just watch what happens.
Connected cars could use multiple actions to communicate. These could be voice commands,
at home, a rain shower is forecast,
or gaze control where a camera follows the movement of your eyes, or gesture control where hand movements are used to operate functions rather than having to physically use a touch screen.
at home,
Okay.
a rain shower is forecast and your window is open. Should I shut the window blind?
And essentially the car has detected that a window has been left open at my house. I can now shut that window while just sitting right here in my car. And well, there your home is protected from the environment, just sitting in your car on your way to someplace. So we've just seen how the autonomous mode comes into play. But more importantly, and another step of connected cars essentially is passing on your profile, your preferences from your vehicle. We've taken it from our smart homes into our smart vehicle, and from our smart vehicles, we're transferring it to other smart devices, namely a smart cycle, and of course another smart home where you've got an assistant to help you with other functions. Mikey, please send me some seasonal recipes. All of this continues to maintain the same profile, your same preferences, your favorite choices, and carries all that forward. This is what the connected world is coming to. It makes sure that all of those choices that you've made in your life stay with you every part of your journey. In about a decade from now, we're going to have cars driving by themselves on roads in Europe and in North America and several other places around the world. Automated technology is developing rapidly, but what does that mean? It means taking the driver out of the driving situation and letting the car judge for itself, taking its own decisions how to get you to your destination. Now, we are here at the BOSCH Mobility Experience, at the BOSCH Mobility Experience, and we are getting an example of what automated technology exactly means. What does it feel like inside a car when you take your hands off the steering wheel and let the car do all the driving?
So we're approaching the automated driving part now.
Automated mode is available.
The car signals to us that I can now activate the system. I will push the two buttons and the car is now in control. So as you can see, the human-machine interface now changed to the blue scheme. The road is blue, the A signals that it's an automated mode, and the steering wheel is in blue as well. This is the moment where I could check my mail, my calendar, read the news, because the system is in control. And now as back in manual mode, one challenge is this: I've been driving for a long time in automated mode, potentially, is that I may forget that I am in charge. And that's when you get a chime that tells me, detects that I'm actually distracted. I'm looking at the screen, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I should be focusing on the road. So if I look back on the road, it's fine, but it can actually see if I'm paying attention or not. And the way it does it is it checks my gaze with the camera. So you can see if I start looking to the screen,
it'll shift.
you can see my eyes actually looking to the side. And you can hear the chime come on.
Standing here right now, 2017, what is the state, let me start with connected cars, what is the state of connected cars as of now?
Well, first of all, it's no problem to connect all cars which our customers want to be connected. We have the technology Connect. We can also provide even an IoT, an Internet of Things cloud to introduce services for applications and so on. So connectivity from a physical standpoint is probably is possible from now on. The question is how people communicate with the car, and this can be done by voice, of course, but also by gestures or even by touching physical things. So this is the next step, to introduce whatever is possible that people can easily communicate with the car without being distracted from traffic. I think the speed is what we need, because a car is an invest. It's not like a smartphone which you constantly can change on a half year or a year cycle. A car is different to that, and for that the speed is enough. And the car buyers are not necessarily only the young ones, but also the older ones like me, or not you. You are too young for that.
But don't you think that that's essentially what you're making? You're making cars into smartphones, where people, more concerned about how to communicate with your homes or with your other devices and things like that, where the driving essentially is left to a universe, that you have nothing to do with.
This is definitely a challenge, because as people deal with other things than driving, this will become dangerous. And for that we have to provide measures to improve safety of the car, for the car driver and for the other participants in the traffic as well. And this directly brings us to automation, because from our point of view, this is a very, very difficult matter we have to deal with. To be distracted from traffic because you concentrate on anything else.
Well, time for us to take our final break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we have Auto Selector with Bert and the latest from motoring news. Welcome back. It watching Overdrive and you've joined us on our Auto Selector segment here on the show with the Overdrive Editor-in-Chief, Bert D'Souza. Hi Bert, our first question this week comes in from S. Ram. He has a very simple and pointed question. He wants to know why auto manufacturers do not offer all-terrain tires on their SUVs and crossovers.
The reason behind manufacturers offering road bias tires, for that matter, is very simple. One, they offer better fuel efficiency, they are less noisier, they have got better longevity and of course better dynamics as well. For all of these four reasons, which the all-terrain tires cannot offer you, that is where tires which have got mud and snow well written on the side, it's an M+S written on the sidewall. Well, those tires are great for off-road use, but they're not as good as road bias tires for on-road use. Now, why do manufacturers do this? Also because a majority of the time, most owners will not drive their cars off-road. They use it in city conditions or out on highways, and that's why you need better grip, you need better stability, you need better dynamics, less noise from those tires as well, and fuel efficiency. Let's not forget that you need better fuel efficiency, and road bias tires are the ones that will give better efficiency than all-terrain tires.
Well, our next question this week comes in from Neerav Jain. He wants to buy a scooter, has a budget of 65,000 rupees, and his priorities are better fuel efficiency and good riding. His shortlist, of course, is the Honda Activa 3G, TVS Jupiter, Hero Maestro Edge, and the Honda Dio. What would you suggest, Bert?
Well, of these four scooters that you've listed out, the one that we'd recommend undoubtedly is the TVS Jupiter. That's the one to go in for. It definitely has better ride quality and good fuel efficiency. Overall, the package also is fairly good to own. But there is another scooter we'd like to recommend over here, and you should definitely take a look at it. That's the Suzuki Access. That has stood out in all of our comparison tests. It has clearly won those battles, and that's the one we would recommend. But if that's not in your short list, or you might have not ignored it, but you might have overseen that, then definitely put that into your list. Go and test that scooter out. I think you would enjoy that bike. You would enjoy that scooter better than any of the four that you have listed out.
Well, remember, just like Neerav, if you have any more queries, do send them to us at helpdesk@overdrive.co.in. That is our email address. You can also Facebook or tweet us your queries, and we promise to get Bert to answer them for you. Though right now, it's time for us to check out the hottest launch from this week.
Sweden's defense and security giant Saab has publicly expressed its intention to not just offer its next-generation fighter aircraft to the Indian Air Force, it has proposed making the single-engine fighter aircraft in India. On offer is the Gripen E, a multi-role fighter jet. CNBC TV 18 Shireen Bhan travelled on the invitation of Saab to the company's headquarters in Linköping in Sweden.
Well, it's a bright and sunny morning here in Linköping. In a few hours from now, I'm going to be taking my first flight ever on board the Gripen D. The nerves are starting to build up. I can feel the butterflies in my stomach. What I am going to be doing now is heading into the medical center. Ironically, it's called Feel Good, and this is where they're going to go through the basic process of doing an ECG, basic blood work, I would imagine, blood pressure, etc., all of that to make sure that I'm fit to board this flight. I haven't slept much. I've been up since about 4 in the morning in anticipation of this. I was told to eat a very light breakfast, which is exactly what I've done. And I'm just hoping now that everything is clear as we go through the medical test, and then I head to the simulators.
I'm going to do the fitment of the gear, the G-suit and the life vest for your flight.
So why is this important? Why should I be wearing this?
If something happens, you have to wear protection gear. If you eject or anything should happen.
God forbid.
Of course not, it's going to happen, but if something happens, you're going to be protected by our gear.
Sweden has offered to make in India the Gripen, and of course that's a decision that the government will take. But what's so special about the Gripen?
Well, the Gripen is a very agile and smart fighter that can be equipped with a lot of smart weapons today. So I think it's a perfect solution for India. And it's also a modern jet fighter and has all the performance that you can expect from a modern fighter today. You climb to a pretty high altitude and do a supersonic run. Supersonic run is when we travel faster than the speed of sound.
Well, with that, it's time for us to wrap up this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through Facebook as well as Twitter, and you can follow our latest videos on our YouTube channel. We do hope you had a very good Independence weekend. Do join us next week as we will bring you a glimpse of our very special Independence Day drive. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye and thanks for watching.